So Spiral from the Book of Saw is the latest entry in the Saw series that is now out in theaters worldwide. Well, depending on the world situation where you live, theaters are still closed, you might not be able to see it, and in other countries it's not being released until like June, July, you name it, but it's been released over in the US, Australia, and many other countries. It's out in theaters now, and now that I've done my movie review and my ranking of the Saw series, I am now here to provide you my ranking of every single trap in Spiral from the Book of Saw. Now, I was going to do an ending explained video for you guys, but due to the fact of me recording that video and I wasn't very proud of how it turned out, I decided to more or less scrap that video because I'd rather provide you guys content that I'm proud of and actually put a lot of work into than content that I thought was just mediocre and I wasn't very proud of. So in the end, I scrapped that video because I respect you guys, I thank you guys, and I'd rather give you something that you would enjoy and something I'm proud of rather than just some half-assed shit. And I do apologize for that, guys, because I know a lot of you were very, very excited for that video, but again, I'm not going to do you guys dirty like that. But either way, we have a lot of traps to talk about from Spiral from the Book of Saw. I want to say that this video will contain some heavy spoilers from Spiral from the Book of Saw. If you haven't seen the movie yet, please click away now. This will contain spoilers for every single trap in regards to people dying, people living and everything, or what they have to do to survive and everything. And also the contents of the trap and what they need to do to survive. So if you haven't seen the movie, please click away now. I want to respect you guys. That's your spoiler disclaimer. But without further ado, let's get into the ranking. So coming in at number 7 at the very bottom of the list has to be the skinning trap. I didn't even really know if I wanted to put this on here for the reason of this isn't even really a trap per se. We got it marketed in the Spiral music video from 21 Savage that this was going to be in here and everything. We got some glimpses at it, and it gives us a nice little twist and turn. But my problem with this is that the skinning trap itself isn't even really a trap. It's a dead body that has been skinned and put inside of a meat locker that the actual villain, the Jigsaw copycat, which I will not be revealing in this movie, by the way, because, you know, this isn't the video talking about the twist and who the actual killer is, but, you know, it's kind of a means of like throwing us off the trail in regards to who it might be, to sort of be a bait and switch. But the problem with this is that it doesn't even show really a trap per se. It's just a guy getting skinned. It's just little quick cut editing of a guy getting his skin peeled off and everything, and a bit of information saying that there was some struggling, so therefore there are some deeper lacerations. For that reason, I didn't even know if I wanted to put this on the list, but for the reason of the fact that they do find it in a meat locker and it's made to be like a Jigsaw trap in the sense, and that's how it's presented in the scene at hand when they go to the crime scene, I'm like, I might as well incorporate it. My problem with this scene is the fact that it is very obvious who the killer is afterwards because it does not actually show a trap take place. And there are ways that they could have done a little bit of a bait and switch and made this seem like a trap and actually throw us off the trail even further to make us question who the killer might actually be. Even simple things of showing an actual sequence with the guy who's the Jigsaw killer wearing a pig mask, as we've seen them wear throughout the film, and then having the person who's actually in the screening trap having like a contraption or a bag or something on their head while they're being skinned to make it more believable. Show an actual sequence like that rather than just being like quick cut editing sort of flashback, and you know, it just doesn't work because it doesn't show a real trap. This is a very underwhelming scene because this one I was actually very curious about, especially when I saw in the 21 Savage music video that this is something that was going to take place in the film, but in the end that it was left down to purely someone being skinned alive just by a general blade and someone doing it to them for the sake of throwing the police off the trail. Coming in at number 6 is going to be Ezekiel Banks' test. This test is him when he's in the handcuffs and everything, and we see in the trailer that he's got the bone saw just like Dr. Gordon from Saw 1 and has to cut off his own hand. He's shackled to a pipe and everything by his wrist. And the problem with this trap is it's a really cool idea and it's a great homage, a great callback to the original film. But the fact of the matter is that it was insanely easy to get out of and there was no sacrifice that had to be made. There was no tape played, no nothing. And in the end, the only way that Zeke gets out of it is by him finding a bobby pin on the floor ever so conveniently to then unlock it and pick the handcuffs themselves to unlock him and to get out unscathed. In the end, it's a disappointing trap because we saw in the trailer that this was an homage, this was a great callback to the original Saw film, but left us completely underwhelmed from the way that the scene was handled and the overall execution of it with the end result. Coming in at number 5 was what the internet has been calling the Marionette trap, which is also the puppet trap, which is Samuel L. Jackson's trap as Marcus Banks. It's his test. He is tied up and strung up by all these different shackles and everything with all these IV drips in his body, draining his blood little by little. From this point on, I actually really enjoy every single one of these traps. I think that they are all really cool and have a great psychological feel to them, especially due to how simplistic they are. And don't get me wrong, even though this is low on my list, I really enjoy this trap. I think it's such an awesome idea, and the idea of having your blood drain slowly, feeling weaker and weaker, you start to feel even more sick as well, it's just horrifying to me. And in this game, Ezekiel is the one who his father's hands are in. His life is in his son's hands, and he has to shoot this little target and everything with the one bullet that he has. Unfortunately, the problem I have with this trap is the overall execution and the final result of it. Spoilers, as I said, guys, but in the end, you know, when the police officers, the SWAT team come to the door and cut it open, there is a wire connected to the door that when it is actually cut, another part of the trap is actually triggered. Pulling Samuel L. Jackson up even higher once again, treating him like a puppet. As Alina said earlier in the movie, and as we heard in the trailer, someone is out there pulling all the strings, lifting him up and controlling him almost like a marionette puppet, and then having a contraption come out of the arm, aiming it at the cops as if he is an armed suspect, and then they gun him down in a blazing glory. Now, this seems like a good idea in concept, but it just feels a little bit far-fetched, especially due to the traps that we've seen throughout the rest of the film and the film's due course. Having a contraption come out of his arm and everything to make it seem like a sort of, you know, armed weapon doesn't really make sense. Where the fuck were they hiding that shit? Yeah, I guess you can argue that it's the shackle on his arm and everything, but it still seems a little far-fetched, and the engineering of it doesn't necessarily make sense. And just having him gunned down even though the test was successful just feels a little bit disrespectful. It kind of reminds me of Detective Carrie's trap from Saw 3. She succeeded in her trap and everything, but still died, which is why I don't like that trap too much. Because it's just like, oh, okay, so they just die anyway due to something really fucking stupid. But overall, the Marionette trap, while it's great in concept and I really love the idea of it, and the execution for the most part is amazing and the psychological aspect behind it is incredible, it's just the end result which is really disappointing to me. Now, these next 4 traps were really hard to fucking list, because I love all of these traps almost equally. The top spot, you know, that's a little bit further up in regards to my love for it, but these next 3 in particular, they could go either way in regards to my love for them. They're so amazing. But coming in at number 4 is going to be the subway trap. The trap that we saw in the official trailer and was teased to us in multiple scenes in regards to the train track and the, you know, destroyed body and everything. And not only that, we got an official clip released to us the other day. This was a very uncomfortable trap to watch, for the reason of the guy is pinned by his tongue, being held up lonely standing on a stool, hanging from a subway, you know, rail ceiling. What he has to do is drop his body weight and rip his tongue out of his mouth because he has lied on the stand that many times in court. And the tape even says that you need to rip the tongue away from your mouth to free yourself from the contraption and survive. And in the end, he is willing to make the sacrifice while trying to rip it out normally throughout the entire trap. In the end, he just kicks the stool out from underneath him, he falls down and he rips the tongue out, and it is so gross, so uncomfortable, and seeing the close-up shots, the editing in this sequence is really uncomfortable, very nail-biting the entire time. I love this trap so much, and it's such a great idea. Once again, the psychological aspect behind it and the simplicity behind it is what makes these traps so effective. I honestly can't even think of a reason as to why I have this lower. It's just that I felt more fear and more thrills from the next 3 traps. Coming in at number 3 is going to be the hot wax trap. The victim of this trap is actually Captain Angie Garza, who is Detective Ezekiel Banks' captain at the police precinct. Due to her not standing up for innocent people who are testifying and witnesses and everything, she has been rendered spineless. So in this trap, the only way to free herself and to stop the trap from continuing to basically waterboard her and suffocate her to death with a cloth over her face with boiling hot fucking wax coming out of a tap above her face, she has to sever her spine with the blade underneath her neck. This trap is hard to watch. It is absolutely nail-biting and is easily the most psychologically painful to watch because it adds so many elements into the trap, such as not only hot wax and how painful it would be in that sense, but also being waterboarded and suffocated. Me and I mentioned if you survived, you kind of wouldn't even want to be alive in the end afterwards due to, well, at least I wouldn't personally, due to all like the peeling and everything on my face and the wounds and the burns. And when Ezekiel Banks actually peels the wax away from her face to try and resuscitate her with CPR, there are entire pieces and chunks of her face that have actually been ripped out from where they were. And it is so uncomfortable to watch. She is willing to make the sacrifice as well. All of these traps as well are winnable. Like, all Zeke had to do at the end in regards to the Marionette trap was let the killer go. In regards to Zeke's trap, yeah, he got out. In regards to, Detective Angie's trap, like Captain Angie's trap, all she needed to do was sever her spine. Same thing with the tongue trap. He just needed to kick the stool out from under him and get to the pedestrian side pass that was there to exit out with blood bleeding from his mouth. The only problem is is time. All of these traps are winnable, it's just the amount of time that they are given. But the thing is that makes the hot wax trap so psychological as well, is that there is no timer given till before the hot wax actually starts to pour. It's instantaneous, it's just the speed and the quantity of it. But it becomes heavier and heavier, faster and faster as it goes along. It's just such a psychologically traumatizing trap that is absolutely hard to watch, just like the next two. Then I mentioned Angie was willing to make the sacrifice. Fucking good on her. She would have been paralyzed from the neck down for the rest of her life from severing her spine. Kudos. Coming in at number 2 is going to be the glass grinder. In this trap, you have Detective Pete, who is an ex-cop that Zeke actually put away 12 years ago due to being a dirty cop and gunning down an innocent witness who is willing to testify on the stand. He's now been freed from prison and put inside this trap. Zeke's test here is to actually see if he can sit on the sideline as justice is finally served. Pete is put in this trap where he is chained up, almost similar to the girl from the freezer room trap from Saw 3. But there is actually a grinder behind him that is actually grinding up glass bottles and shooting out fragments of glass at his back, shredding him bit by bit, piercing his spine and his organs and everything, and shredding him, making him bleed to death. The problem with this trap is the fact that his life is in Zeke's hand, and Zeke finds the key way too fucking late. And by that point, he is already dead. Zeke failed his test because he was actually meant to sit on the sideline. But there is a personal motive to why this trap is not supposed to be winnable in regards to Pete and why his life is in the hands of Zeke. Not only was Zeke the one who put him away, but there's a personal conflict between Pete and the actual killer. But in this trap, like seeing the glass shred, you know, fucking Pete up and everything, and the pain that he's experiencing, you can see on his face the pain he's experiencing, which, my god, kudos to the actor, I can't think of his name, but he's amazing in the scene, the pain that he is feeling, the glass fragments. I also think that the actual set of this and the production of this scene is incredibly impressive because it's a mix of real glass, plastic glass, and also CG glass, all of a mixture to actually create the scene and bring it to life. It's a very intensely filmed scene with this nice orange lighting towards it, which makes it feel very vibrant to not just the visual tone, but overall aspect of it. It's a traumatizing trap that the pain inflicted is absolutely unbearable because we all have a fear of stepping on fucking glass. And having it shot at you at such a high speed and everything is just unimaginable. But coming in at number 1 as my favorite trap of the entire movie, in Spiral from the Book of Saw, is going to be the finger trap, where Detective Fitch is put in a trap where he has to sever his own fingers by biting down the device in his mouth. He has to remove the fingers and basically have them ripped off because those are the very things that he's used to kill innocent people that insult him throughout the years as an officer. This trap is fucked up. This trap is straight up hard to watch, and I've actually, you know, had a few interactions with Tessa from Mama's Geeky. Go check her out, guys. She's absolutely amazing, one of the nicest people and a massive Saw fan herself. Seriously, go check out her channel. But my god, the finger trap in this movie where Detective Fitch is played by Richard Zeppieri. Richard Zeppieri's performance in this scene is absolutely incredible. The screams, the cries for help and everything. It is all sold for the pain that he is actually experiencing. This is once again such a simplistic trap that the water rising, if he doesn't sever his fingers in a quick enough period of time, he will actually be electrocuted due to the water rising to electrical wires. And my god, the pain that is being experienced, the screams and everything, the way this scene is edited, it doesn't disappoint. This is such a simplistic, once again, but psychologically traumatizing trap that will fuck anyone up. I was in the theater watching this movie, and when I saw this trap for the first time, this is a trap I was excited for ever since the teaser trailer came out, and I could not have imagined it to actually be this way. The finger trap, where it has to sever each of his fingers one by one, ripping them out of their sockets and tearing them from his hands. No. And while it's psychological and traumatizing and very simplistic, the gore does not disappoint either. Seeing them actually very close up being ripped away from his hands and severed and being pulled away ever so slowly is just fucked. And the fact that he has to inflict this on himself by biting down the device, and he was willing to make the sacrifice once again. These traps are winnable. It's just the amount of time they are given. Oh, Spiral, I love you so much. I love this movie, guys. But guys, that is my ranking of all 6 kind of traps from Sparrow from the Book of Saw. I don't know if you want to count the skinning trap. I'm counting it. It's just disappointing. But overall, I really enjoy most of these traps in this movie, and that is my ranking of all of the traps from Spiral from the Book of Saw. I want to see what you guys have to say down in the comment section below. What's your ranking for the traps? What's your ranking of the Saw films? What do you think of Spiral? What's your favorite Saw movie? Please comment down below. Let me know. Do be sure to also follow the social medias, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and Twitch to watch my live streams and keep updated with the content coming to the channel. Look out for more Saw-related content coming over the next couple months, because I'm going to try and keep this as a constant for the channel from now on, as I absolutely fucking love Saw, and you guys love it as well. You guys have come here, you've been supporting me, and I want to give you guys more back in regards to Saw-related content, because I love you guys so much. You guys have really helped me over the last couple of weeks, and in all honesty, I haven't enjoyed doing YouTube in months. I really haven't. But the moment I started doing all this Saw-related content and seeing all of you guys' support and all the new people coming in and all the love that the Saw community in particular has been showing me, has made me love doing, YouTube again. And I thank you guys so much. I found my passion back for YouTube, because for a long time I actually considered not even continuing, and you guys over the last couple of weeks have really helped elevate me to want to continue even further and to really go for it in regards to the channel, and you found my love for it once again. So I do have to thank you guys so much for that. But guys, as I said, please comment down below, let me know. Do be sure to also follow me on social medias, click the like button and the subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.